There we go. All right. Welcome, everybody that's joining us. We're going to let people come on in to our Rumble channel here. And for those joining us, we are live with the J6 Grandma, Cindy Lou, and we are live. So that's good. We got 18 viewers watching. Welcome, everybody. We're going to let a few people jump in here and hopefully build this up at least to 19 before.
No.
Yeah. So, because we're here on January 6th, 2023
Yes.
with Cindy Lou, who was there. Let me turn this volume all the way
I
down.
was trying to figure out where that was coming
There
from.
we go. Yeah. So if you guys can, if you hear everything, if you want to say hello in the chat, we'd appreciate it just to make sure everything's, let us know our volume, make sure that Cindy sounds as loud as us, or we can, it's better to figure that now rather than later.
Yeah.
So,
Hello.
What's
Hello.
that?
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So we're just gonna Scott, should we, because she has some pictures to share. We might want to
maybe wait a few minutes.
Yeah, we'll wait a few minutes because it's kind of getting in the algorithms right now in order for it. So I'm gonna switch the picture. We're good with our picture, so we can see her.
Yeah, I do believe so.
Okay, perfect. Because I just want to make sure that we can see what she's holding up and the screen shares and all that. Okay, we'll do this. There we go. All right. Yeah, I mean, this isn't necessarily last minute, but a little bit. So before we really get started, is there certain things that other folks are up to today that
yeah.
you what's going on? Give us a read of the room and the temperature of what people are doing that are going through similar things that you're going through.
Well, in my community, there's a lot of gatherings where we do flag waves getting together. So we did one 8 o'clock this morning up in Plymouth, New Hampshire. And then we had a gathering at the Grace Bible Church. They had a brunch for everybody. And then I went down to Concord, New Hampshire, where they had another gathering where they did like a rolling parade with cars with flags and everything up to the Capitol. And then they aired the movie, the J6 Timeline, which just came out for people to see. But it's just, I go to all these things and it's amazing how many people don't know about January 6th. It's either they're walking around in their own little bubble, it doesn't affect me, it doesn't matter to me. But there's so many people that just aren't engaged and know what's going on around them.
Meaning they're not even aware of what happened.
Nothing.
I think that's our problem. We have a tremendous lack of information. Everybody's low information. They've forgotten their history. I mean, they haven't been teaching it for so long, and they don't understand their rights. And if you don't understand your rights, you might as well not have any.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's just this apathy because no matter what you do, when was the last time this government appeared as to people genuinely as a representative government? They don't act on behalf of the people. They really don't.
It's a clown show.
It really is. And I think, I think over a long enough period of time that apathy just gets bred into the next generation. It becomes much easier to them each time because they grow up hearing the apathy from the prior generation. We don't have that strong patriotism among the younger generations very much.
No, they don't even know the Constitution or what it stands for.
Bill of
And
Rights, yeah.
and if they're focused on what the TV is feeding them, media, they're not going to go where we are and where we're doing truth casts and on Rumble. They just don't go there. They're looking at CNN and MSNBC and all those stations, which are all the same.
or they're trying to figure out who Kim Kardashian is dating, or
Yeah,
watching some reality TV
People
brain
magazine is
waste.
telling them.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. There's just it's sort of a sad state of affairs. We need a bit of a reboot.
yeah. I mean, when I got arraigned, and I was appointed a public defender, my friend came to pick me up after that day, after they finally let me out. And my public defender said to her, he goes, "Nobody cares about January 6th anymore." And he's right, you know?
God, it's horrible. See, to me, I'm just shocked that there aren't, constant protests,
Yeah,
and demands
yeah.
to release these folks. I mean, they're still held essentially without charge. There's no real due process that's taken place. It's
That's
made a
why I'm
mockery of our
excited.
justice system in every way.
That's why I'm excited about this class action suit that I'm on, the civil suit, because with the civil suit, we can get the facts out. The other challenge is that your lawyers are all a part of the bar, the British accredited registry.
Hmm.
So they know that if they go outside the bounds of what the bar wants them to do, they're going to be sanctioned. They'll lose their license. So there's that pressure coming down. And it's hard to navigate through that. Find an attorney and navigate through that and not get your attorney in trouble and try and defend yourself. It's crazy. And then if you go pro se, it's a lot in federal court.
Right,
It
right.
really
Oh
is.
gosh. Well, you know what they say about going per se. It's yeah. But this lawsuit, maybe we can start at the beginning, for those that are unfamiliar with it, because this sounds like an exciting development. How big is it? What's happening there?
So I think there's 20 or so of us, 20, 21 of us. And it's all uh, kind of organized under Jake Lang, who's one of the first ones that was arrested and put in the gulag. Jake's been in there since right after January 6th without a trial. And so I found out about this through the prisoner's record, which is on Telegram. And there's a man we call EOJ, and he was organizing, getting everybody to get in their personal lawsuits, which then they decided, well, we've got so many facts and affidavits from people that say the same thing, that there was police brutality and that the police stirred up the crowd. So it's a group of us that are going after the DC Metro and Capitol Police about that day and the abuse that day of the crowd.
Well,
Oh, yeah.
what are they telling you? Like, I mean, like you said, held without trial for this long. That is a clear, present, and persistent violation of due process and of his rights. And I
Mhm.
don't understand how they're getting around that. I would think any decent lawyer would be able to get him out, you know, just on that alone.
I
What are
know.
they presenting? Is it the fact that it's the District of Columbia and
Yeah.
they're not subject to the laws of
Like,
this country or something?
yeah, they have their own system, and it's not the system that you and I believe should be in place. They do this thing with speedy trial. I don't know if you're familiar with that, but you're supposed to get a speedy
You
trial.
sure are, yeah.
But what happens is you get caught up in the scheduling, and then what they do is they stop the clock. So the last time I was in court, it was the 21st of December, and we got to talking and who's available at what time, and it all ended up that nobody was available to continue my trial until August, which is fine by me, by the way, but till August of this year. So what do? They stop the speedy trial clock, and it doesn't pick up until August. So you've got that gap that nothing's ever happened.
Again, still a violation. I
Yeah,
I, I
but they
don't
do
understand.
what they want. They do.
These are show trials. I mean,
Yeah.
this is very Stalin-esque. Uh,
Yeah.
I just and the lack of outrage is really shocking. Americans should be just becoming unglued. And like you said, people aren't even having the conversation.
No.
It's how did
And
we get here? It's like the Twilight Zone.
right. And I started with public defenders. Let me tell you a little bit about them.
Oh boy.
Oh boy.
So these guys, first I started with one, and um, he was my public defender, and I went in and met with him, and within probably 2 to 3 weeks after we started out going down the path, he says, I'm bringing in my associate, and he's going to come on board, so you're going to get 2 for 1, Cindy. And I'm thinking, that's really weird, 2 public defenders for me for my petty charges. So I was sitting with Kevin. I was on the line with Kevin Hoyt one night, and I'm Googling one of the public defenders, and he comes up as suspended. Suspended. So we're like, do we tell him? Do we say this? Or do we let him keep playing public defender for a while and get a mistrial? What do we do, So we let it ride for a bit. And then finally, Kevin was like, oh, I'm going to blow this out of the water. I'm going to say what's going on. And Kevin Isaacs was on the line, and we talked about it. Well, don't you think they withdrew soon after that? And the judge that I was appointed was Tanya Chutkin, same judge that Trump had. And oh yeah. And I said the first 2 things I said to those guys was, I want to change of venue because I don't belong in Washington, D.C. My
Right.
peers live here in New Hampshire, and I want a new judge because she's biased, and she is. If you look up the stuff she said, it's ridiculous. So they were like, no, no, we can't do that, Cindy. If we do that, we'll be sanctioned. Well, who are we defending here, me or you? And it was constant back and forth with them. They were not going to represent me. It was clear. And every time I would say something that I wanted to do, they would have to go tell Washington about it. And I'm like, what? Why would you tell Washington about anything that we're talking about? You know?
Well, has anyone been successful in getting a change of venue? Because I know that's been
Nope.
the goal.
Nope.
They haven't granted it to anyone.
Nope. There's only been 2 people that have prevailed out of all of the ones that have gone through all the trials. There haven't been that many that have gone to trial. A lot of people have taken the plea deal. Talk about the plea deal. So they wanted me to take that plea deal. It was like, oh, Cindy, if you don't take the plea deal, you've got a clean slate right now. If you don't take the plea deal, they'll start digging. And once they start digging, you don't know where it's going to go. And I said, no, I can't take the plea deal because I did nothing wrong. And I held my ground on that. And the last meeting that we had, they said to me, well, if you don't take the plea deal, don't be surprised if they hit you with a felony that carries 20 years.
Good God.
It's intimidation and pressure, and I had 2 of them. Every time I went in to talk to them, I had 2 of I felt like I was defending myself to my defense attorneys.
Jesus.
Well, let's just talk in context of the 20 years. Let's talk about your participation in
Yeah.
January
What
6th.
exactly?
I mean,
What exactly
Well,
did you do?
how many cars did you blow up? I mean, how many officers did you assault with weapons? What happened here for 20 years?
Yeah.
Yeah. So the felony charge was going to be for conspiracy. And if you look, I was in that building all by myself. So who did I conspire with? Right? I was conspiring with God. you know? It gets crazier every time you turn around with what they throw at you. So now that these public defenders have withdrawn from my case, I have a new attorney, which is a God wink for me because I went to a Marjorie Taylor Greene presentation in New Hampshire, and I met her face to face, and I talked to her, and she looked right at me and she goes, I'm going to use some bad language here, but you guys
Go
can
for
handle it. Because they're not fucking around. Get an attorney. And I was like, oh, I'm thinking to myself, I don't have the money. I had looked at attorneys, they want 10,000, 15,000, 30,000. I don't have that. So I was like, okay, I'll figure this out. I got my gives and go. We'll see where it takes me. And 2 days after I talked to her, I get a call from an attorney in Baltimore, Maryland, and his name was Jonathan Gross. And he said, Marjorie Taylor Greene asked me to give you a call. I'd love to represent you. And he is representing me, and I love him.
Oh, that's
He's,
amazing.
you know,
Wow.
he's yeah.
Is this now? Is this? I don't. You don't have to go too far into your finance. Is someone helping you pay for that? Is it a better deal than normal? Is it pro?
It's better. He wanted, get this, $5,000 to
Wow.
represent me. That's nothing. You can't get an attorney to write a letter for
No.
$5,000. So,
Wow.
he did say when we go to trial, he might need more money, which I'm fine with. I'll raise it by then.
Right.
But my gives and go, at the beginning, I was thinking, oh shit, I go to jail for 4 years, right? 4 years. I'm on Social Security. I work part-time, just trying to make life balanced. And I have a small business, and I'm looking at that and I'm going, I'm going to lose everything I've worked for all my life, where I live, my business, my job, your social security stops once you go to jail. You don't get it. So I would be nothing. And then try and get out of jail when you don't have a home to go to. That's not going to work either. So yeah,
Wow.
Well,
Can you walk through viewers? What you did that day,
sure.
please.
I
yeah.
All right. I got to the Capitol grounds probably around 1:30 in the afternoon. And by that time, they were already throwing flashbangs into the crowd. And I could hear the flashbangs going off, but I didn't know what they were. I was like, wow, what are those big bangs? Kept walking. I was with a friend that we rode on the bus. I met him on the bus coming from New Hampshire. And he said, hey, we're walking. He goes, let's get up on that wall. We can see better, because it was amazing to see all those people in one place. I mean, I'm from a little island. It was like, holy moly, this is crazy. So I get up on the wall with him, and I'm standing on the wall. We stood there for, I would say, half an hour or so. But all of a sudden, we're circled with Capitol Police. They're above us, they're below us, they're around us, and there's probably 20 of us on this little section of wall standing there. And I look at this one police woman, and she's got this gun trained on me that's got like a football on it. And what it has is, it has not big rubber bullets, but little like birdshot rubber bullets, and they sting. Like, they hit us with them a couple times, but she had it like right on me. I could look in her eyes, and I knew she was going to blast me with the thing. So I said to this guy that was standing next to me, I said, she's going to shoot me with that gun. And he goes, get behind me. So I did. And then he turned around and he said to me, he goes, are you afraid? Do you want to get down? And I said, yeah. So they immediately said, help her down. She wants to get down. And they put a like bike rack up, like a ladder to the wall, so I could climb down it. And this big guy grabs me and puts me on the ground. So then we're getting gassed at that location. So I go up to this woman, and she's filming. She's holding a camera and she's filming everything. And I went up to her and I said, what are you doing and who are you filming for? Are you going to tell the real story, or are you making up a story? And she wouldn't answer me. And I kept asking. Then another woman came over and she's asking her the same thing. She takes the camera and she points it to my face and she says, Cindy, I was on the bus with you. She wasn't on my bus. I was on a bus with all Asian people. There were 4 of us, and all Vietnamese, Asian people. I knew she wasn't on my bus, and I was like, how did she know my name?
Right.
And how did she know I came on a bus? What's going on here? I
Wow.
didn't know. I was like, thinking all kinds of crazy thoughts. So then the crowd ended up moving toward the Capitol, and I fell into the crowd, and the doors were open that we walked through. There was a crowd of people. We walked through. I remember a black guard standing there to the right of me, and he's shaking his head and he's going, I don't agree with this. I don't agree with this. And I'm like, I kept walking because at that point, you saw what happened to Roseanne Boyland. You're not going to turn around and go against the flood of people. So I'm in the Capitol now. I go through the rotunda, and the first person that captures me on video is Jason Sullivan, who sent his video for thousands of dollars to CNN that day. And this is the funny part of the story. I didn't tell work that I was going to DC. I just took the day off because COVID was rampant, and if you went out of state, you would have to stay away from work for 10 days. So I didn't say nothing about where I was going.
Yeah.
Well, everybody at work is in the break room, and Jason puts his film on CNN, and they're watching me go across.
Oh. Wow.
Cat's out of the
That's out
bag.
of the bag on that one.
Wow.
Wow.
So, yeah, but even in that film, and it's usually a leading clip on a lot of the J6 films. You see me walking through the velvet ropes. I'm just walking with my flags through. So then I got to the hearing room, and we were standing there, and there was a guy that had like a bullhorn, and a DC police. I don't know if it was Capitol Police or DC Police. I don't know who's who, but he's telling the guy with the bullhorn, tell the crowd to be quiet and we'll let them in. Now, wait a minute. If I'm on restricted grounds, why would they be saying that? Why? Why aren't they saying, tell them to get the hell out or they'll be arrested
Yeah.
or something like that, right? So it never got quiet. And next comes a group of them and they gas us again. So we're getting gassed. I move down the hallway. And at this point, I think I might have gone by the area where Ashley got shot because they were taking a chair and they were moving it over their heads, and they were going to break the glass for the door. And if you look in her video, you can see the chair. So that could have been the area. But when I saw that, I said, this is it. I got to get my butt out of here because this is not going anyplace good.
Yeah.
So I went down this hallway and I came up upon another Black female guard. And I said to her, listen, I want to get out of here. Just show me where to go to get out of this building. I need to get out. So she points down this hallway, and this is the video you see, but you don't see the back of when I'm talking to her. You just see me coming out. But she points down this hallway, and it's empty. But at the very end of the hallway, I can see guys coming in with long guns in military gear. So I went up against the wall and I said, I'm not moving. I said, I'm going to get shot if I move. She goes, oh no, just walk with your hands out. They won't bother you. And I said, oh no, you get a guard between me and them and I'll move, but I'm not moving until you get somebody between me and them. So that's when you see the guard pointing me out in the video. So the guns are behind him and he steps in and points. So I walk toward him and out I go. Then I get outside, and our phones, the whole time we were in the Capitol, I thought I was recording. They were jamming our phones. So you see me walking with a lights on, no one's home. I'm not recording anything. So I get out, my phone's completely dead. I don't know where the hell I am. My friend's gone, can't find my friend. And I went up to Metro Police and I said, listen, I just need to know what direction the bus station is in. I need to get back to the bus. He goes, I can't help you. You're not supposed to be here. And then he goes, go that way. And the way he points is where they're gassing another group of people. I'm like, I'm not going that way. So, so I went the other way and I met like a Trump supporter and they had a phone that was working and they showed me the way I needed to go, and I went back to the bus. My friend, however, that I had met on the bus ride down there, he's not anywhere to be found when we're all loaded onto the bus, and everybody's going, "Where is he? What's he doing?" And I'm like, "I don't know." I had gotten his number because we exchanged numbers, and so anyway, they're like, "Well, text him." So I'm texting him, "Where are you? We're ready to go." Blah blah blah, and he's been arrested in the Capitol, and they dragged him around for like 6 hours in the Capitol, all different places. Then they took him to the Metro police station. So he never made it back to the bus. We held it for like 2 hours. He never made it back, and that's the day I had. I was full of pepper spray, full of gas. It was a horrible ride home because once you get that spray on you, if you touch anything and then rub your face, it's like you're gassed again.
I'll
It
bet.
was, yeah.
God. Well,
That's what I did.
we talked about Tucker Carlson doing an interview with Congressman Clay Higgins
Hmm.
today, and he said that there had to have been hundreds of human assets, hundreds of feds essentially, or assets that in the crowd, that this was a setup. It's pretty obvious at this point. Was there any telltale signs that that was going on, or you probably weren't
Well,
looking out for that kind of thing? But
right, right. And you didn't know. I mean, I could have been standing next to one. You wouldn't
Yeah.
know.
Right.
yeah,
But the one thing I did notice was some of the bad, I'm going to call them the bad actors that were doing destructive stuff. They were different. They were dressed differently. They just didn't look like the typical Trump supporters. There was
yeah.
one guy I can remember. He was in like Carhartt outfit, and he had a bottle of booze in his back pocket, and he was not on the up and up. Then
A
there
lot of them
were
were masked too, right? A lot of the ones that,
masks,
yeah.
and they had gas masks, they had military type garb on. Yeah.
You never see that at a Trump rally, you
No.
know. That's
No.
wow. So,
Yeah.
so let me ask you this big question. So, they released all this additional footage that shows the guided tour that people were getting inside,
Mhm.
and the total lack of destruction. There was largely a lot of respect going on, and
Yeah.
lawfulness and whatnot. So I thought, well, the jig is up now because that refutes everything CNN and their ilk have had to say about this. Is this doesn't come close to Pearl Harbor or the Civil War or AIDS or whatever else they were comparing it to.
Right.
This was pretty straightforward. So I thought this is going to diffuse it all. They're going to have to let them out now,
They're
and
doubling down. They're
nothing has
doubling
happened.
Yeah. Today, I think they came out and said now, if you were standing outside, you're still committing a felony and they will come after you. That's what they said today.
What happened? It's the people's house.
Yeah, exactly. That we pay for. Yeah. And that's what, when I went there, um, I was concerned about the fraud with the election. I went because Trump asked us to be there to support him. And I wanted to make my voice heard. I didn't want to destroy anything. I didn't want to end up in a riot. I didn't want any of that. But that was the setup of that day because they knew that if those electoral votes had gotten questioned, things would be different.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and up to that point, everyone said it was one of the most beautiful experiences they'd ever had. That millions
Hmm.
of people coming
It's
together so lovingly and
yeah,
getting along so well for a call. I mean, it was a beautiful experience, right? Until it
was.
wasn't.
Yes. Yeah. And depending where you were, you didn't know things that were going on the east side or in the tunnels or, where you were was your perspective of things. And
Right.
I didn't see the west tunnel. I was long gone by then.
Yeah. Well, we've heard a little bit about your story, your childhood,
Mm.
um, through Kevin Hoyt and other friends. Can you tell the viewers a little bit about your background? Quite an interesting story. So if you'd care to
Yeah.
share some of that with the viewers, I think they would like
Yeah.
that.
So born and raised on Nantucket Island, very small island. I don't know if you've been there, but it's very pretty. And when I was 18 months old, my mother and I were on a flight from LaGuardia to back to Nantucket, and it gets really foggy. The fog rolls in off the ocean, and when it gets foggy, it gets like pea soup. And the plane was coming in that we were on, and it crashed. And there were 34 people on board, 10 survived. I was one of them. My mother wasn't. And so that was like a big part of my life. Big part that kind of I numbed out for a while, you know. I was raised by my grandparents out there, which life was hard for them too, because having to deal with the loss of a daughter and a baby to take care of, I'm sure they didn't plan on that. But anyway, the funny part of that story, if there is a funny part, I say it was my prophetic experience because I was on the plane with all Democrats and they all
Wow.
so yeah. One of the people that was on the plane with me that is of interesting was the guy. He was the atomic energy commissioner. So there was a lot in Washington that they did to recognize that. It was pretty big. It was nationwide news, and it was pretty tragic. I mean, it was a mess because out on Nantucket, they weren't prepared for an accident that big back in the 50s, right? I mean, they were taking people out of the woods on 2x4s, and it wasn't, it was pretty messy.
Wow. How big was the plane?
It was a Northeast Airlines Convair, so it held 34 people.
Okay,
It
so
was
smaller.
packed.
Yeah.
Yeah. Double
Wow.
the ones with the two props.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you were how old at the time?
18 months.
18 months.
18 months. Wow.
No, is there any recollection of that or not?
No, I think I did know or have memory of it when I was little, because they used to burn trash out at the dump, and I used to go crazy like when they brought me to the dump. But I think over time, I just pushed that memory aside.
Right.
Yeah.
So, what is what does your family think of this? Because you're known as the J6 grandma.
Hmm.
Is you being involved in this?
My
Um, what's that? Is do they hear your story and believe you and like, okay, you just went down there for this, and they're questioning the whole
they know
narrative,
who
or what?
I am. They know who I am. They know, how I am and my daughter. So when I told them when the plea deal was hanging over my head, I said to him, I said, listen, I can't take that plea deal and I'm not going to. And their response was, okay, mom, fight. So yeah, they're behind me. And, my daughter, initially, she was pissed at me because she wasn't pissed of what I did. She was pissed that I was put myself in a situation where I could have been her. I mean, a lot of people, 4 people died that day, and I could have been one of them.
But how could you know? I mean, I don't think anybody that day knew what they were getting into that wasn't a Fed. Those guys probably knew what they were getting
No,
into.
I have friends that went, and I was considering going.
Yeah, if it was closer, I would have gone.
You know,
But you see,
Sure.
I was watching the news that day and getting the narrative that went out immediately that we were insurrection, terrorists, all that stuff. In fact, when I got on the bus and started seeing some of the news reports, I was like, what the hell did I just get into? Because that wasn't the intention at all. And I had friends that were texting me while I was on the bus ride home, and they're like, I can't be your friend anymore. My daughter's godparents disowned me. So I've lost friends, I've lost business, I've gotten hate mail. It's not fun.
But how are people responding? I mean, I understand the media can be, I guess, shockingly persuasive in some way, but this was a crime made up out of whole cloth. I mean, none
Yeah.
of this was. My mom, who's 85, I say this every time we talk about J6, but she said, Scott, I don't understand this. Growing up, you always take your grievances to the steps of the Capitol. I mean, that was just, oh, it's an American tradition. I don't understand. And
Constitutional right.
yeah,
It's in our Constitution.
that's
But
right.
I think people just are so fed by what the news media tells them that they don't look beyond. Some do, some don't. One of the best reactions I had that I won't ever forget is there's a woman in the town. She's got a business right next to mine, very liberal. They had Biden signs in their window when Biden was running, and I was like, oh boy, when I'm going up the sidewalk and I come face to face after it had been in the news that I'm a J6er. I see her coming down and I'm like, oh boy, this is going to be good. And she comes up to me and she gives me a big hug and she says, Cindy, I don't agree with what you did, but I know who you are. And you know, that is good things that have happened. So
Wow.
Wow.
And what other, you know, some of the other stories that are out there, is it because you did a much more mild version in some ways of what other people did? Is are they being more lenient with you? How does it compare from stories that you've heard?
it's all over the place. Like even so there's another J6er, Kirsten Niemela. I don't know if you guys did an interview with her, but she's from New Hampshire also. She's sitting in prison right now for 11 months. Same four charges, 11 months. Um, so I think my case has only been that I've been able to kick the can a little bit
Okay.
and give myself some breathing room, which I think the more time you have, the more comes out. And I think that's a good thing. Um, my friend, who also same four charges as me, he took the plea deal early, right after J6, and I guess he was like maybe. Well, he took the plea deal, and he was put on 2 years probation, and cost him $23,000, and he had to do 60 hours of community service, and then he's got a record. So, and once you take that plea deal, you cannot appeal it. And so they offer you the deal, but they don't tell you what you're going to get. They just say you've got to plead guilty to this, and we'll drop these charges. And then it goes to the judge. Well, I had Chuckin at the time. You think I'm going to put my life in Chuckin's hands? He'll throw the book at you. And then you've appealed. You said you're guilty. She throws the book at you. You've got nothing to stand on.
Well, so because yeah, we did an interview Kristen Niemela. What is Have you heard from anyone what's going on with her? Obviously, she's serving. What's the latest? Can you give us an update?
Yeah, so I right now I can communicate with her. They've added me to her email, so she's able to email me, and I've emailed her a couple times. The latest is they've given her April 23rd that they're going to put her in a halfway house. She doesn't even belong in prison, and now they're going to put her in a halfway house. But she's doing good.
Oh yeah,
She's
how's she do? Because
smart,
yeah, she's a
she's
strong
smart.
woman.
She's got
So
a great sense of humor about it too. Yeah,
Yeah,
real
she's a
strong.
lovely person. She's a good girl. And I've enjoyed getting to know her through a bad situation, but I consider her a real close friend, close ally.
right, because she was freaked out as anyone would be. What's her experience been thus far? If she can.
She says that the prison is like being in high school. They're always fighting and bitching about, prison of women. Um, she just says it's really hard. It's hard with the holidays. It's hard missing her family. But she said, quote unquote, I can't wait to get out because I am going to go at this hard. And I know Kirsten, she
Yeah,
will.
Wow.
that's for sure. Well, we interviewed her just days before
Yeah.
she went in, so
Yeah.
yeah, we haven't had
And here's
an
the
update.
thing too, like, I know I was with the woman that drove her down tonight. She's another friend of mine, and she was talking about the whole experience of when they brought Kirsten to turn herself in. And they so here's this terrorist. They don't check her. They don't She gets there, the guards don't even pat her down, okay? They just take her Bible and they say, "We'll have to hold on to it." And they shove her in a van in the back seat. Now, they haven't patted her down. They haven't even checked her for anything. Shove her in the back seat by herself, and they pop in the front and drive away to the prison. It's the same as when they locked me up when I got arraigned. The guard says to me, they put me in shackles, foot shackles, the whole day.
Oh God.
And so when they brought me from the cell to meet with the attorney and the probation officer, the guard says to me, just walk with your hands behind your back, like you're handcuffed. They didn't handcuff me. So,
Like AOC style. Remember that?
Yeah.
Oh, geez.
it's like they're calling us these terrorists, but this is what they're doing. They put me in leg shackles and they left my shoestrings in. And I'm sitting there all day looking at them going, if I wanted to do something.
That's nuts. Wow. So do you and other J6ers, I would imagine, there'd be a lot of incentive to want to talk to one another and support one another through this because you're going through an experience that
Yeah.
you all relate to very, very intimately. Has there been much of that, or have you been prevented from that kind of communication?
My contact has been mainly with Kirsten, but as far as supporting people, I've been really helped by David Summerall. He's a wonderful man. He's really solid in the J6 community, and we talk like friends, like we've been old friends. Ivan Rakelin, I've gotten to meet him. He's been really supportive in helping me to understand what was going on behind the scenes because Ivan, if I don't know if you've ever listened to any of his interviews, he did a good one with Pete Santelli. He's focused right now on the jab with the military because he's a lieutenant colonel, retired. But he believes he did the famous tweet that day about the Pence card and saying that they needed to send the electors back to review what they were doing. He wasn't saying that Trump should win. He was saying do the right thing, send the electors back. But Pence would not. Pence didn't have the backbone to do that. You know.
Well, and it's been election interference ever since. I mean, ever since. Look at what they're doing now with Colorado and Maine, and
Yeah.
they're oh, the what the it's predicated on the idea that Trump has been found guilty of something, which he is not. There has been no crime, but it reminds me of the whole, Stalin days. Just show me the man, I'll show you the crime, and
Right.
it's overt. I mean, it's so
Well,
obvious. They're not even bothering to you know mask it in. It's so thinly veiled.
right. And right now, too, we've got a couple of things going on in New Hampshire. Karen Testerman just brought a suit about our open primary because what's happening is the Democrats are now registering as Republicans so that when they go to vote in the primary, they can screw up the Republican vote. Okay. So she's gone to the Secretary of State and saying, this isn't right. You can't be doing this. We need to have a closed primary so that whatever you register at as in June, that's it. You're either Democrat or Republican, and you're not going to come a month before the primary and say, "Oh, I'm a Republican now, and I'm going to vote for whoever, Nikki Haley or whatever," But so that suit just went to the court this week, and they wanted to talk about whether she had standing or not. And there's a case, Harper. Well, there's this case that sets precedent, and they brought it up. I can't remember what it was right now, but they brought it up, and the judge kind of sat back and said, "Okay, I'm going to take this under advisement." So he'll give an answer next week, but people are hopeful that he's going to do the right thing. And they even asked him, they said, "So if we can't get recourse through you, what do we do?" And he sat back and he goes, "You vote." Right? That's, yeah, it's
Wow.
not an answer. Yeah. And then there's another guy, Dan Richards, and he questioned the electronic machines here in New Hampshire. So we've got those two things going. Moore versus Harper, I think, is the case that's big that they're using for precedent.
I understand New Hampshire may have a bit of a corruption problem.
Oh, Mike Gill. You've been talking to Mike Gill? So
We
you
have,
know.
yeah. New Hampshire
So,
sounds like the worst of it. Yeah.
and here's the thing too that is interesting to me, that so the feds came to see me on the 13th of January, which was a few days after January 6th. Left a card in my door because I wasn't home. And I called them, talked to them. "Why did you do it? How did you get there? Blah, blah, blah." And then they said, "You've been very cooperative." And I didn't hear from them again. But in the meantime, between that visit and my next, one day I'm going to work. I live in the woods, and 4:30 in the morning, I see taillights down on the dirt road below my house. And I'm like, 4:30 in the morning, taillights? What's that about? So I go down my driveway and I turn onto the dirt road, and it's an SUV that takes off really fast. So I try to get behind it to get the license plate, and we're going windy roads. And they must have taken a sharp left or a sharp right because I lost them. Never got the license plate. So there was that. Then I started going to the local school board that winter, and I was speaking against masking and CRT. They had said they were going to implement social emotional learning, which is basically a cover for CRT. Same thing. But don't ask them to see their curriculum because they don't give it to you to look at. So I had been there, and they caught me on video and put it on Channel 9, which is a local channel. And shortly after that, two feds show up at my shop. Second visit from the feds. Now, this was from the Bedford, New Hampshire field office, which is known to be connected to Sununu, Sonono, and all the corruption. So, I know that there's something going on between that too. So I have another interview with them. They ask me, "Is this you?" They show me pictures, blah, blah, blah. Off they go. Then I wanted to go travel to Arizona. I call them and I say, "Is there going to be a problem? Am I going to be like on a flight list or anything like that? Am I going to have a problem?" "Oh, no, you're on the back burner." Right. Don't hear from them again until this past year when I do the interview with Lisa, and boom, here they are again, serving me a warrant. So tell me they're not monitoring me.
Oh, sure
'Cause
they
I
are.
know. Yeah.
Yeah. We regularly say hello to the feds. Hello, Freds.
Get off the line. You don't belong here.
Yeah, and I want to say hello to our viewers. There's 225 people in
Nice.
here, and guys, feel free to there's the live chat, and you can go ahead, and if there's any questions that you have,
Yeah. You want me to show you the video of me being a terrorist?
yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Yes.
This now, guys, brace yourselves.
Yeah. Get some popcorn
Yeah. Well, yeah, because so this is basically what they're trying to charge you for whatever, the 4 accounts
Right.
from what this video is. Is that fair to
Picketing,
say?
yeah, picketing and demonstrating disorderly conduct, 2 charges of each. Yeah, I pull them out and read them to
This
you.
is so. This is what
This is
passes for a
what,
felony in the freest country in the world. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, guys, get
yeah.
your popcorn. You ready? Here we
So
go.
this is, remember I told you about the guy I called to escort me out? That's him.
Okay.
On the left there.
Yeah. Behind him where that guy just walked out, that's where the guns are, down that alley.
Okay. So that's you right there.
That's me.
What,
Yeah.
Picketing and demonstrating.
wait, so that's it.
That's it.
Oh my God.
Wow.
It's not that exciting, is
You look
it?
like you're walking through an art museum.
Yeah, I must have missed something there. I didn't see the criminal activity.
Wait, can you play that? Thanks. Play that
Maybe
one more
in slow
time.
motion. We get one more.
Guys are having
Oh
fun
my.
with this.
Well, it gives people an
Yeah.
idea of how ridiculous this is.
Well, so did all that footage. What did they have? They released what 21,000 hours of which was a fraction of all the footage, and it was all pretty benign. Like even the what was it, the shaman. They showed him
Yeah.
saying a prayer over the security guy, and everybody was really pleasant and nice, and they were having nice conversation, and it was respectful. I mean, it's shocking
I
to
look
me that I mean
I look
that
a
should
little
have diffused
shocked
it all.
there, but
Yeah,
yeah.
yep. Not very crowded in there either. It didn't look like.
No, not at all.
There
Okay,
really weren't
so
that many
that's
people in there.
not exciting.
So the stuff that we have seen is mainly in the stairwell with Ashley Babbitt. That seemed to be the real hotbed of activity, and then out in front by the stairs and the walls. Now, are those the wall that you were standing on was near the steps in the
Uh,
front?
it was outside and it was
Yeah.
to the left. To the left. I'm plugging my
Okay.
computer in.
Yeah.
So
Careful. What you're doing now looks the same as what you were doing in the video.
Yeah, I know. I'm trying to think how many felonies I committed last week.
Oh my
no.
I
And
mean,
look, did you see all the people I was conspiring with that were with me? Did you see them all?
Yep, a shady bunch.
yeah, Casper and the Friendly Ghost reunion. I mean,
Shady.
there's just wow.
And so what you're looking down the barrel at what you have to do another. Well, you're still awaiting trial, I suppose.
Still awaiting trial. The next big date for stuff is going to be in May. My attorney's going to have to file all the motions of who we're going to call for witnesses and whatnot. And then we get rolling. I have pre-trial in July and trial in August 5th.
So what's the best case scenario? What are you hoping to get compared to what the worst case scenario is? If you can
Best
share.
case would be a fine for trespassing, right? If that's what they want to say I did, they got me going through. That would be the best case. Give me a fine, call it a day. But if they want to put me in jail for 4 years, I don't know. I might have a hard time with that.
Yeah, I can imagine. But now this class action lawsuit, could that intervene? I mean, is that,
Good.
or is it about damages, or is it both?
It's both.
Okay.
Yeah. So we'll
Hopefully
see.
that'll provide meaningful intervention, because last thing in the world you need
And
to be
the thing
doing is
is,
wasting 4
we
years.
need J6ers need people to get behind us. I mean, if you see the insanity of all of this, get behind us and stand and say enough of this ridiculous waste of tax dollars. I mean, think about it. They've visited me 3 times. We're paying for that,
Oh yeah.
right? You know, we're paying for those stupid public defenders that I had that did nothing. They're all getting paid.
Well, and I could only imagine the weight of this on you psychologically. I've shared a story where, I was pulled over for speeding, and I ended up being arrested
Hmm.
due to an administrative error. But I didn't find that out until 40 hours later or whatnot, and I was held without charge. I mean, it was terrifying. Like, I
Yeah,
spent the next 3 days really not comfortable leaving the house, and that
there's
was so
something.
minuscule compared to. I mean, you've got, you know you're being surveilled and watched, and you know,
There's days I don't sleep. Thank God. I'll tell you, my hero is Kevin Hoyt. He has held me together through this, and he's a good, good friend, my best friend right now. He gave me the platform to share my story, and he's really supported me. And he tells me all the time, I'm going to be here with you till the end. And I believe he will.
you will.
Um,
Yeah,
That guy
it's
has a
not
heart of
easy.
gold.
yeah, we
Yeah.
love
And
Kevin.
it's not easy. He says, "You're the strongest person I know." Yeah, that's because I can put on a strong face, but that's how I've lived my life too. You know, I'm an independent person.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And what about other J6ers that may have not been as fortunate as you to get a lawyer for 5,000? I mean, for some people, they don't even have 5,000.
Right.
What any stories on that?
Well, there is a group, the Prisoners Record. I mean, there's a lot of people that are collecting a lot of money to help J6ers. I hope that the J6ers that need the money are getting that assistance through these people. Condemned USA is one. Prisoners Record is another. Stop Hate does a lot to help the families through Christmas. So it, the thing is, you've got to find your way and find the people that can help you, and that you got to work it.
Makes you wonder. I mean, if I had Batman money or My Pillow money or something like that, I'd be hiring a pretty massive law firm, you know.
Yeah.
Um, but we can do that collectively.
Yeah.
We don't need to be Batman to do that.
Yeah.
No.
So, and that brings me to your Give, Send, Go. That information will be obviously below in the notes. But is there anything you'd like to say about that beyond?
um Kevin and I did a show. I mean, that's another way of people supporting me. You can send a prayer on that site, and I've gotten a lot of prayers from people. I've gotten a lot of comments, which I read all of them. um and Kevin and I took a Thanksgiving show and just did one on gratitude. And I some of the generosity of people is a humbling thing right now, because there are people that I've never met that have made significant contributions. That just it's overwhelming sometimes. It really is.
That's
Yeah.
wonderful.
I'm waiting to hear back. There's a gentleman named Derek Evans who I don't know if he's going to join us or not. We've been trying to piece this together today, and I'm not hearing back currently. But are you familiar with his story at all?
Nope.
That's the thing. I mean,
There's
that's
so
why we
many of us, and we're all over. I mean, we're all
exactly.
parts of life. We're all we're just we're Americans, just like you, just like anybody. You know.
How many are we talking? I mean, it's hundreds and hundreds, right?
Right now, I think they're up to, like, they've charged 1,500 of us, and I think there's over 400 still awaiting trial. A lot have taken the plea deal. Out of all that have been charged and gone through trial and all of that, only 2 have prevailed. 2.
Well, Owen Schroyer from Infowars fame, he wasn't even in the building, and he just got out of jail.
He did.
He had to serve time, but just for being outside.
Yep. Yeah. Did nothing. Yep.
I you know
Simone what's that? Dr. Simone.
Gold.
She's another.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Or yeah.
yeah. Gold. Simone Gold. Yeah,
Yeah.
she was same thing. She was in the building talking to people, and they arrested her. They swatted her plane when she was going somewhere. It's just overkill.
Hysteria.
Yeah.
I mean, a real frenzy. This is.
Is it hysteria or is it trying to protect a bogus narrative? You know, they always say the cover up is worse than the crime.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. Well, how do you see this, as it gets exposed, how do you see this unfolding in your most realistic
Uh,
view of this?
well, my hope would be that at some point somebody wakes up and says, okay, this is just too out there, reverse everything and be done. I would hope, but who knows? I think too, once they get you and charge you, they spin up a bond on you and it becomes money. So,
Oh.
Of course.
yeah.
Well, what they've done is they've quashed, people's spirits. Everyone now, when they want to protest something, when they want to show their support, when they want to say no, they're worried about the consequences,
Right. That's
because
what they
beyond
that's
the
what
realm of reasonable.
Right.
Like you'd think, well, if I just hold my sign and I stay in the
no.
approved area or whatever, and I'm peaceful, I should be fine. But are you? We just saw what you did.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
mean, they sit in my parking lot. If I do a podcast with Kevin, all of a sudden the cops show up in the parking lot.
you're
So,
kidding.
oh yeah. No, I'm not
Wow.
kidding. I've been sitting on my couch just looking out the window because the street is I'm street level. I was sitting with a friend one day and there's a guy going by taking pictures. And by the time you don't expect to see this stuff or experience this stuff. It's like bizarre. And by the time I get my head around what's going on and get up to look to see if I can get a picture of them, they're gone. You know, it's crazy.
That would make you paranoid. I mean, that would make
Yeah.
you looking over your
Oh,
shoulder all the time.
well, let's talk about my fire alarm.
Okay.
So, so one night, and I had a friend that was staying here at the time. 2 o'clock in the morning, I live in a building. We've got like smart fire alarms that tie into the police and the fire station. 2 o'clock in the morning, my fire alarm goes off. Goes off for a couple minutes, stops. So I said, okay, that's a quirk. And the girl above me in the apartment above me, I texted her. I said, did your fire alarm go off? She goes, no, no. So I go back to bed. Another hour later, it goes off again. Another hour later, it goes off again. The rest of that day, it never goes off. So I said to my friend, maybe there's dust or a bug in there. I took the thing off and I blew it, right? And put it back on. Next night, 2 o'clock in the morning, fire alarm goes off. So I was talking to Jaco about it and I said, I don't want to sound nutty here, but could, could they be screwing with my fire alarm? And he goes, oh, yeah, they could. And he knows.
You
He
would
knows
know.
all
Yeah.
the that can be played. So he's like, yeah, they're probably messing. And then after we aired it, nothing. No fire alarm.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Wow.
So, and then what about the folks who are in either solitary confinement or
Yeah.
in truly in prison?
Yep.
The ones that are singing the song, and then what was it that they did compared to what you did? Was there a key ingredient to that, to them being
Well,
thrown in there?
there's some, I mean, there's some you saw, like the guy that put his feet on Nancy Pelosi's desk, or, there's Nick who smoked a joint in there, whatever he did.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. So there's different things that people did, different levels, but when they arraign you, they do a point system based on your history, your criminal record, I've got nothing. I mean, I'm a grandma, 67 years old. I've got no record. And, even my probation officer says this is bullshit when she comes to see me. Oh, that's the other thing. They give me a urinalysis every time they show up. They can give me urinalysis on demand.
What are they looking for?
If I smoke a joint, if I drink a beer, if I do anything.
Drink a beer? Isn't that legal?
I'm not allowed to drink. I'm not allowed to smoke. I'm not allowed to do any kind of drugs. Not allowed to have guns. That's what they told me too. They said, be careful of who you hang out with, because if you're at a party and somebody has a gun and there's police activity, you will be charged. Because, yeah. So watch out who you hang out with. So it's like your life becomes
Yeah, how would you even
not a
know?
life. Not a life.
Good
I mean,
grief.
the thing with your case is it shows how ridiculous this really is. I mean,
You're being terrorized.
yeah.
Mhm. And one night too, and I think it's on one of Kevin's videos. This was when I first got arraigned. I was sleeping in my back bedroom and the whole apartment's lit up. And I get up and I look at the parking lot and there's a car that's like right up close with high beams on. This is 1, 2 o'clock in the morning again. So I said, well, frig this. I'm going out there to see who it is. So I get dressed, I go out there, and it's one of the local cops. And I went and I knocked on his window. I think I scared the hell out of him. And I said, what are you doing? And he goes, oh, I'm here doing a safety check. And I said, of what? You're lighting up my whole apartment. You just woke me up. If you were doing a safety check, do it in the back. That's where the activity might be. And he goes, oh, okay. And he like left really quick. So I know what he was doing. And, it was just another time where they wanted to, we got our thumbs on you, Cindy. Yeah.
Wow. And they could be out there doing this to 1,500 other people.
Yeah. Yeah. And they do. They listen to your conversations.
On the taxpayer's dime, no less.
Hmm.
Yeah, I'll tell you, if you're not outraged, you're not paying attention.
No. My lawyer, whenever he calls me, his first words out of his mouth are, FBI, if you're on the line, get the hell off. That's what he says.
So, Cindy, it's been 3 years. And I guess my question, so how much of the 3 years have you felt, was there any, between actually January 6th of 2021 and when you started getting, harassed, how long was that, first of all?
Uh, so the harassment came after I was arraigned.
Which was when?
Right. So that was June of this year. End of
Of this
June
year.
this year. So they visited me right after January 6th,
Okay.
let me alone. Then I did my school board thing. They got pissed that I was talking, come back at me to remind me, hey, we're here. And then I do the podcast with Lisa a year later, and boom, that's when they hit me with the warrant.
Well, didn't you say there was something unusual that happened following the Jaco interview?
Yeah, Jaco's whole channel got taken down.
Rumble or YouTube or what channel?
Rumble.
Rumble got taken down.
Rumble.
Rumble, please don't take us down.
Please. Yes. Good grief.
Yeah, one thing.
You'll never interview me again.
Well,
we gotta go.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's been great. No, I'm kidding.
Well, something happened last night, and I didn't tell Scott this yet because sometimes I like to surprise him on the show. I wish it was better news, but it was wonderful. We have a woman named Patty. She does the Rumble rants when we're doing this. Right now, the focus is you, but I'm just letting people know. And so I'm looking at the rant income, and it used to be if someone donated 100, we'd get $70. Last night, it was $50. I think Rumble, I think as of, I could be wrong. I'm trying to get to the bottom of this.
They take half now?
They take half. It's like a divorce.
Are you kidding me?
No.
I don't remember getting married.
I'm not kidding. I'm like, wait a second. Wait. She donated twice.
We need
but
to look into that.
I know. I'm thinking that they're, I don't know what, maybe it's because we're talking. Yeah, that's why if people, donate to us, it's Stripe. We need to tell Patty that because
yeah, Stripe is a better way to go. They take 2.5%. It's like casual dating, not marriage, right?
Yeah, it's like you buy the
Wow.
girl a drink and you kind of
And you're doing all the work.
this is like, hey, I'm getting to know you. Well, I want half. I want half.
You were going to surprise me on the show. Now I'm surprised. Good grief.
Well, it keeps it entertaining
we
for
have
the
a
viewers.
pimp. Wow.
Yeah.
Well,
anyway,
sounds like we're not going to have a channel for very long anyway. Right, Cindy?
Right.
I just.
I'm sorry in advance.
Join us on True Stream 2.
Like New Freedom.
We should get a backup channel going.
Well, I mean, we got our, we're on Spotify and we're on BitChute and we're on Brighteon, but
YouTube a little bit.
Yeah,
very little. X. Yeah, we're on
I
X.
mean, but man, it's just it really is a challenge. It's a challenge, and so what is? I mean, you got to have a bit of anxiety just daily dealing with this crap. And I've had it in my life without this.
Yeah. There isn't a day that goes by that it's not on my mind, but I like to stay in a high vibration as much as possible.
Yeah.
Because I believe that if I go into fear and all of that, I'm just giving them power. And I'm not going to give them the power. So, I try and just live my life and do things that keep my vibration up. I have a great support group locally, and they take me out and they just get my mind off of shit, which is all I need. And that's Kat and Carolyn and Mary and all of those people. They've been my saviors.
And you have a lot of great friends. I know them. They are great friends. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Kevin Isaacs, I call Kevin, poor Kevin. I'll call him and I'll be like, blah, 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 blah. And Kevin, and he's like, I'll go, are you there?
Yeah, exactly.
And then he'll say, yes. And he'll give me some piece of knowledge, and it's peace,
Yeah.
He's become a very good friend too.
Oh yeah, he's wonderful.
So I'm sorry, I've been looking down. We've been trying to see if we could get Derek to join us, and apparently it's been a bit of a hectic day. But I think your story, just sharing the viewers with your demeanor and your positivity in the video, it just goes to show that if they're gonna harass someone like you, I mean, they're gonna harass anybody. I mean, you're just. You're just the type of ladies that someone would want to go up and just give a hug to. I mean, it just amazes me that this type of shit's going on.
I can smell the cookies baking.
I know.
That's what David Summerall said on an interview. He goes, there was a woman that went up to the Capitol Police and said, I baked cookies for you. He goes, that's Cindy.
Oh, wow.
Oh.
Well, there were some J6ers that you wanted to mention. And,
yes, because today is January 6th, okay?
That's right.
And for those that are just learning about January 6th, we have this guy. This is Brian Sicknick, lost his life on January 6th. Roseanne Boylan lost her life on January 6th. Kevin Greason lost his life on January 6th. Benjamin Phillips lost his life on January 6th. And last but not least, Ashley Babbitt lost her life on January 6th. And they're all people that stood for the freedom of Americans. That was what they were there for that day.
Wow.
Wow.
Thank you for sharing that. And friends of ours keep reaching out. What the work that we're all doing, it takes a toll at times, energetically and
It does.
mentally, etc. And that, if people can just send positive vibes our way, a protection circle, whatever, a bubble of well-being,
Love
whatever you want to
bubble.
call it.
Yeah.
Just anything, because it does. I mean, when our energies are interacting and people are watching this, and we've done a number of shows that are pretty dark, pretty heavy topics. And,
Mhm.
Since we're learning about energies and good and evil and all that stuff, I think we're susceptible to that stuff. I mean, I do feel that we're here divinely. We're called to do this. There's no other reason.
Oh, I don't think there's a more important time in human history in a lot of ways, and
Right.
and for that I'm grateful to, in some small way, be a part of it. I'm sure you are as well. But
And I think listening to you guys and some of your shows, I mean, sacred contracts, right? I believe in sacred contracts, and I believe that this is my contract.
yeah,
And like it or leave it, I'd like to renegotiate.
yeah, me too. What a raw deal! I had no idea what I signed. But
But yeah,
I was thinking about that. You kind of wonder, when is the work going to be done? We spend a lot of time trying to educate people about
oh,
these things, and sometimes, unfortunately, the people that seek out our content are those that already agree with us. We don't get a lot of opportunity to be influential, in changing the minds of the other folks. I was thinking with J6, how many lies have persisted. I still have people that will tell me, they killed cops died.
yeah,
Didn't
didn't happen.
happen. Did not
Didn't happen.
happen. But there's a huge percentage of people that believe that it did.
Yep, they
They
do.
really do believe that. And to compare J6, especially after seeing this footage of, the very casual tour guide kind of a situation,
Mhm.
to compare that to Pearl Harbor and all these things. I mean, that dishonors the people that died, in those catastrophes
Mhm.
and whatnot. And of
What have
course,
they done to recognize Ashley Babbitt's death?
yep.
Shot by an officer that was really not acting according to protocol. Nothing happens to him. And her mother goes to stand for her, and her mother gets arrested.
He does that. I mean, this is very clearly an illegal shoot, a
Yeah,
bad shoot, unprovoked. Largely, it was obvious she was no threat to him. In
no.
any other situation, he would have had the book slammed at him. And then you've got what Chauvin, who's in prison, even after they determined that he didn't murder. That
Right.
it wasn't a murder. It was the drug overdose that caused Floyd's
And
death.
who tried to harm him in prison? A Fed.
Yeah. And
So,
they're not letting him out even after this proves his innocence.
no.
I mean, he didn't
That's
seem like the
the point.
greatest guy. And I mean, obviously the optics were pretty awful on that situation. But nonetheless, here we got a guy who, and this is a repeat offender. He left his gun in the toilet
Yeah,
and was written up. That's a pretty bad thing when you leave your gun in a public bathroom and you're a
yeah.
law enforcement
And I
professional.
think we've got people that are just such rabid Trump haters that they can't get beyond that. They can't get beyond the fact that what they've been told about Trump, he's this, he's that, he's a womanizer, he's a liar. I've heard it all.
But it's just not rational. Oh, that's
And
fantastic.
that's
Wow.
true.
That is fantastic.
Wow. God, that makes me want to take, what we've been doing. And this has been interesting. I'll just share this because anyone here knows that we're not really a TikTok channel. But what I'll
Right.
do is I'll take, a couple minutes of interviews that we do or other things that I find of interest. And I'll put them on our TikTok channel. And the way I do it is I record so that you can see the actual, where the video is located.
Mhm.
And so, and then I try to get people to go. It's like, hey, we'll go to Rumble. Like, you leave them with a cliffhanger. You give them a minute or two, and then it's like,
Right.
hey, for the rest of it, go here. Now, there's some that aren't that way. I mean, there's some where a point, like I just did one with Scott today, and we did it together. And anyway, but it's amazing. They've been upset. Some of them, not all of them, on TikTok. We have a video. I mean, there's like 300,000 some views of this information on Leave the World Behind, and the audio weapon that's used in it. But you have
Mhm.
people, they're upset because they want to know, they want the whole thing. And it's like, guys, this is 2 minutes of an
Preview.
hour and 17-minute interview. And then there's some people that are like, get to the point. I mean, the TikTok mentality is insane. And they don't even look at the video and the other comments to see, because I've done it probably 100 responses to these people.
Mhm.
Go to the video, go to the guy's actual Rumble page, watch it there. If you're intrigued by it, check it out. And so my point is, this TikTok mentality of if they can't get it within a minute, that's
Yeah.
another thing. TikTok
And they
says,
don't wanna read either.
yeah,
Don't put words out there.
yeah, it's because TikTok even says, hey, make your, he's learning some of this too, because I've been learning this thing. I never thought I'd even fucking be on TikTok, but it's like, make your videos longer than a minute. More people will watch it. But then you see that if they don't connect with it in 10 seconds, they don't watch it. The stats are on there. So it's like, it's a weird little world to be part of, but the world, that's what they want. They want it now. So forget trying to get them, that mentality on shows like this, for the most part. Not everybody, there's some.
But the success of short attention span theater, TikTok being the biggest, I think, and probably Instagram. We have YouTube Shorts now. It's these little. It's people's brains have been remapped. They're looking for that hit. They want that dopamine hit, and so there is kind of an attitude about it if you're interrupting that cycle. And I've stayed away from TikTok because I'm real susceptible to that. I'll start out with one funny video and I'll end up 4 hours later still
I know.
flipping
I
through
do
the
that.
damn things. I can't
I
do
do
it.
that when I'm not sleeping at night. They just keep rolling, and I'm like, okay, I'll watch these for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you're right. Yeah, people will be like, hey, well, on TikTok, we want, if you don't put part 2, and I'm like, hey, you know what? Then I'm going to help reshape TikTok. We this is like a trailer, okay? And the movie's over here on Rumble, okay? Let's change the mentality on TikTok, because we have 3.5-hour conversations with people, and if you're remapping people's understanding of our history that's
Mhm.
been fucked with by evil for I don't know how many hundreds, if not thousands of years, that's not a
Thousands.
TikTok video, people. It takes a lot of education and remapping and wonderful conversations like this to understand, to understand what the fuck's going on in the world. That's what our show's about.
I don't know why this reminded me of the old guy in Lost Boys. This is the second time this week.
Well, go ahead and tell
I've referenced it, but it's like all these TV guides. You don't have a TV. He says, if you have TV guide, you don't need a TV.
Yeah.
Wow.
All the
And
damn vampires.
I don't know the age range of TikTok, but I see it even at work, the attention span just isn't there. And
No.
like even my daughter is in her 30s. I've done podcast after podcast. Do you think she's watched one all the way through? Mm-mm. Because it's so long, Mom. You know?
Yeah, well, good luck at reading Moby Dick or The Fountainhead. I mean,
Well, it's funny because I'll send Joe a dark journalist or something, and it's 3 hours long. To be like, oh, it's 3 hours long. I said, but you're gonna watch 3 1-hour videos.
and he's right. It does. It helps.
You don't have to watch it in one sitting.
Yeah.
There's a pause button. You can come back.
Right.
Well, here's the thing. Here's the other thing. Movies in the theater are hour and a half, sometimes 3 hours.
Yeah.
It depends. And
Well, if it's 3 hours, everybody's bitching.
right.
Yeah.
No,
Unless it's
that's
really
true.
quick.
It used to be what,
That's
120 minutes was the average length of a movie.
yeah, now now it's about 90 minutes to 100
Yeah.
minutes. But the thing is, what the content, and I'm not speaking about what Scott and I are doing, but I'm speaking specifically about our guests. Our guests are way more interesting than any fucking Hollywood movies lately. I'll tell you that much. So sit down, enjoy our guests, because they're helping people understand our world, and so
Yeah.
we're honored to do it. I mean, this is we learn
You
from
know,
every guest that we have.
you know the guy that was the screenwriter for On Golden Pond? What's his name? Do you know?
I just remember it was Harry.
I met him. He lives in New Hampshire here, and where I used to work, the guy I worked with was like, "Oh, I've got to introduce you to him. You know, he's good. He'll write a movie about you." And I'm like, "Okay, okay." So I
Was
go
that
over.
Harry Fonda? Wasn't he in On Golden Pond?
Henry Fonda.
I mean,
Yeah,
Henry Fonda.
You old poop.
yes,
Yeah.
yes, he was. And I can't remember the guy's name right now. But anyway, I go over to his house. He invites me over to his house, asks me to bring a bunch of my books, which I wrote a book about the whole airplane crash, right? So I go over there and he goes, "You want to meet Oscar?" And I was like, "What, do you got a dog?" He goes, "No, Oscar." And I went, "Oh, okay." And he comes out with his Oscar. Like, that's a big deal, you know?
A
But
golden
he was
idol.
gonna, yeah, yeah, it was his golden idol. And he was like, "Oh, yeah, I'm going to try and sell this to Hollywood and we'll write a movie." Nothing ever happened. It was
We
like,
should do the trailer in a world where a grandmother goes to Washington and gets more than she bargained for.
It may look like just a typical day at the shopping mall or the art museum.
But it's a felon.
It's a felon. Grab your popcorn. Wow. Well, is there anything that we've left out, or anything that you want to say?
I think we've covered quite a bit.
Well,
I
that's
think
good. We just want to make sure. I mean, I know it's cool. We do have over 300 people watching, but it would be nice. Some of our lives, it's nice not to go, for 3 or 4 hours, because
Yeah, no, I think we've hit the highlights, and I've enjoyed talking to you guys and getting to know you.
Absolutely. I'm looking forward to talking to you again, and we'd love to have you back. Keep us posted.
yeah,
And if
what's
we
going on
get
with
a J6 panel together, hit me
yeah,
up.
yeah. I mean, it would have been nice to have more join us on J6, but we understand people are busy, and things are going on, and there's previous
Yeah, a
obligations.
lot of people are doing probably commitments around J6 right now.
Exactly.
Oh, for sure.
Exactly. Well, can you at least tell the folks one more time, which we put in the comments, etc., and the description, your Give Send Go link?
Yeah, so if you go to Give Send Go and you just search yellow butterfly, up will come my link. I think it's protecting our freedom.
Yep. And we put it. Yep, it's right there. GiveSendGo.com/protecting freedom.
Yep.
So.
Well, thank you so much for your courage, and it's a real inspiration to see with high spirits and in your situation. It when I think of the things that are troubling me, they just can't compare, and so this just gives me a lot of inspiration. So thank
What
you.
do they say? We all have our bag of shit.
Yeah.
We'll throw it in the middle of the room, and you know what? We'll take our bag of shit back.
Well,
good night, guys.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you, Cindy Lou. And
Yeah.
we appreciate the audience for watching. Please share this with anyone that might be interested in actually watching an interview that's not 8 seconds.
Yeah.
Well,
our audience loves it. Are you kidding?
No, I know.
I
mean our audience sharing with people that they feel will resonate with them.
Oh yeah, I'll share it out to the world.
Wonderful.
So
awesome.
Keep it going. Hang tight, guys.
All right.
Thank you.
You too. Have a great night.
Take care.
Thanks, everybody.
All right. Take care. Bye.